So there we have it, Ireland are through to a World Cup quarter-final, first in Pool B, the pool of death, and it's claimed the victims of Scotland. They are the ones that have been killed in this group, 36-14 in this game, and at half-time, just emphatic, Ireland had pretty much won that game at half-time. And it's not like Scotland hadn't fired a lot of shots, they attacked a lot, in good positions as well, but my God, Ireland are so good in defence, they just soaked it up and then pounced when the chance was there. And then in attack, this is possibly the most clinical I've ever seen Ireland in attack. Any attack, it looked like it was going to be a score. It never looked like they were going to lose the ball. That's how you play as a team. Ireland fans must be so proud of their players. Scotland fans and the Scotland team have to go away and think, is this style good enough to beat the best teams in the world? Yes, it's good enough to beat the middle tier teams and the lower teams, but up against the best, South Africa, now Ireland, it's just not good enough. It is a bitter pill to swallow because in maybe some other pools, C or D, they might have stood a better chance, but they weren't good enough to go through. Ireland, South Africa, deserved qualifiers. So let's get into this game and talk about some of the themes that came up. And straight away, minute one, it's a try, classic Ireland, fast ruck ball, loads of deception in the back line, and Gilchrist, all he does is make one error, but that's all it takes. I mean, he drifts a fraction too early and Ringrose through, then a nice double 2-on-1 and low scores, a 5-0 straight from the off. Just a sucker punch to Scotland. But yeah, I mean, he's shaping up into a great game. We see the Scottish attack slot into stride straight away, but they just can't get through. I mean, in many ways, they've been looking good. Tuipulotu especially injecting loads of pace in this first half. But they do get into this habit. We've talked about it before for Scotland. Sure, they're a good team, but they're not the best four in the world. And when they get those easy 3 points, they just don't take them. I don't know whose decision that is. Townsend ultimately is obviously letting them do this, but they had 6 points of begging in those first opening 10 minutes and they didn't take them. I don't know why. Is it overconfidence, naivety, arrogance, or just a bad game plan from the coach? I don't know, but against Ireland, who are the best team in the world at the moment, surely you take those points. And I think, it just changes the psyche of the game, the flow, the momentum of the game, getting those points on the board. And I just don't think they've learned. They're going to have to go away and think about this. I don't think they're going to change, not with Russell at fly half, but it's an interesting one. Let me know what you think. Do Scotland need to be a bit more pragmatic and take those points sometimes and not back themselves quite so much because they're not quite as good as they think, as good as they are. Anyway, that point aside and decisions aside, both sides are actually playing fairly well, thumping tackles, but it is fine margins. A good example, Keenan fields a ball that's nearly a 50-22 and maybe his foot went into touch. But he gets away with that and James Lowe wins the kicking battle. So early on, the bounce of the ball, those tight calls going to Ireland. But goodness me, when Ireland got that chance, they were so clinical. And this next attack, Sexton, a lovely delayed pop to Armani. He's through and he nearly puts Hansen in. So, I mean, they're really opening up the Scottish defence at every opportunity. And there were quite a few injuries in this game early on. Ritchie had to go off after about 18 minutes. Kinghorn off. Head injury, I think. Both clearly devastated. Could that change the game? Well, we'll never know. But certainly not good news early on. Ireland playing that kicking game, getting a bit of success, targeting Darcy Graham. Not a huge amount, but they are winning the kicking battle. But then another truly classic, phenomenal back attack from Ireland. It's the classic Sexton loop. Everyone knows it's coming, but it's so hard to mark. Hugh Jones just bites in there a little bit too much, goes for Aki, and then Ringrose is free, who puts Keenan in. And again, just that second defensive error, completely punished by Ireland, 12-0. I mean, brutal stuff. I mean, Scotland have loads of attacking possession, but unlike Ireland, Scotland are making those defensive mistakes. And Ireland, they can just seem to go through mountains of tackles, not give away penalties, and then swoop at exactly the right time on half an hour Porter with another massive turnover, a case in point. And another thing Ireland do better than Scotland in attack is they just stay in structure that little bit longer. And yes, maybe that means there's less fancy offloads and a little bit less chaotic, but it does mean they can resource the ruck better because they know where they're going to be. They can guarantee retaining that ball that bit more. And that is what results in the third try from Henderson, just keeping the ball essentially. getting over the gain line, not massively, keep ball, try for Henderson, 19-0, and Scotland will be feeling they've been firing shots of their own and they're 19 points down. Ireland are so dispiriting to play against, but their joined up attack is so good. They know where they're going to be. Too good for the ref Nick Berry just before half time, who gets in the way of a clever forward pod switch, which is a shame because that could have been a try as well. But they do get that bonus point try before half time. They're smelling blood, so they just go for the tap and go, grind the line, and then Sexton spots it out wide. Nice loopy pass over a very narrow Scotland defence. Another defensive error, 26-0 bonus point, and that's 3 defensive errors from Scotland, punished every single time. And at 26-0 at half time, Scotland have got to feel maybe they've just lost the World Cup right then, or they're out of the World Cup right then. Now in the second half, Scotland could have come back and made it close, and early on they have a big attacking set, but it just sums up Scotland's game as they get well into the set. Russell just goes for something a bit too ridiculous, a crossfield kick over Darcy Graham's head, and then to compound it, Ollie Smith, a silly trip on Sexton, gets himself a yellow, and that's pretty much their chance gone because Ireland score a couple of minutes later. Again, perfect attack, so well orchestrated, every ruck resourced, low risk, but they get wide to wide. Gibbs and Park actually breaking the scrum half on the wing now, breaking down the right and then wrapping to the blind to create the try for Sheehan. Great game for Gibbs and Park. God, he's good. 31-0, so that was what Scotland didn't need. They thought they could get back in the game, and now they are 5 tries down, and it's all over. In the last half hour, Scotland still get plenty of attack, and Ireland still have to go through mountains of tackles, but they come up with one big play after another. This time McCloskey on 51 minutes with a huge tackle from a tap penalty. So they're looking up at the board, Scotland, and still 0 on the board. And to stick the dagger in further, one attacking set for Ireland, another try. Crowley's on for Sexton. I mean, they're never close to losing the ball. Like I say, they resource the rucks so well. And Crowley disguises his crossfield kick, but it's perfectly weighted for Ringrose to take at full pace. 36-0. The job is done. I mean, you could see the shock on the Scottish players' faces, but they're still going. Fair play to them. And they are dangerous. And Tupelosi finally gets outside the drift. I think Henderson makes maybe the first Irish defensive mistake. It's a very tricky 2-on-1, but they do well to put Ashman in down the right. So that's a nice try, 36-7. I mean, it's too late. At least it's not 0. And the dam just seems to be breaking a little bit from Ireland as they get caught on the drift again. This time Hugh Jones doing really well to beat Aki on the drift, and Aki was fantastic once again. He puts Price in under the post, 36-14. It's too late, but at least they do get the best of the Irish defence a couple of times, and the game slows down. Both sides are absolutely knackered. 36-14, that's how it finishes. So Scotland have to go away to think again. Is this how they're going to keep on playing? Whilst this group of players is together, they're going to want to win something. They're going to feel like they need to win something. Six Nations is the most obvious target, but do they have to change their tactics? Do they need to kick more to the corners? Do they need to take their points more? Do they need to be more conservative in attack and get more resource to that ruck? They need to practice their defence as well. So the talent is there, but once again, up against the best, they're just not quite good enough. Ireland, brilliantly done in this pool. They've got out of the group of death perfectly in first place. Has it taken too much out of them? Well, we will see. It's going to be another mammoth quarter-final for them. If they can win, they're well set, but this quarter-final is absolutely huge. They're going to have to do a lot of tackling. They always do. Can they be as perfect as they were in this game? Pop those comments below, and I'll catch you next time.